The universe held many terrors, but none so feared as Zara Nix. With skin the color of twilight and eyes that gleamed like distant stars, the Aldebarani assassin moved through the crowded space station like a shadow. No one noticed her. They never did until it was too late. Zara checked the small device on her wrist. 3 hours until her transport arrived. 3 hours to complete her mission and disappear. She had never failed a contract, and today would be no different. The target was a Galactic Coalition diplomat named Vorex Tull. According to her employer, Tull had sold military secrets to the Kraxan Empire. Such betrayal deserved death, or so she had been told. Zara did not question her contracts. She simply fulfilled them. The diplomat's quarters were located in the upper ring of the station, an area reserved for officials and the wealthy. Security would be tight, but security had never stopped her before. Zara slipped through service corridors and maintenance tunnels, avoiding the cameras that watched public spaces. Her six-fingered hands moved with practiced ease as she disabled security measures. The extra digit gave Aldebarani an advantage in delicate work, an advantage Zara had honed to deadly perfection. When she reached Tull's quarters, she paused. Something felt wrong. The diplomat's schedule indicated he should be alone, but Zara heard voices inside. She placed a small device against the door, and it projected the conversation onto her wrist display. "The evidence has been secured," Tully was saying. "If anything happens to me, it goes public. The Coalition won't be able to cover this up." "You're playing a dangerous game," another voice replied. "These people don't make idle threats." "Neither do I. The corruption has gone too far." Zara frowned. This information wasn't in her briefing. For a moment, doubt flickered in her mind, but she pushed it away. A contract was a contract. She waited until the visitor left, then waited 15 more minutes. When she was certain Tull was alone, she released a colorless, odorless gas into the ventilation system. Within minutes, the security systems registered that the diplomat had fallen asleep. Entering the room was simple after that. Zara stood over the sleeping figure, a needle-thin blade in her hand. One quick strike to the base of the skull and it would be over. Clean, painless, her trademark. As the blade descended, Tull's eyes opened. He didn't look surprised. "They sent you," he whispered. "Tell them they're too late. The truth is already out there." The blade found its mark, and Tull spoke no more. Zara didn't dwell on his final words. Targets often said strange things at the end. She left no evidence, no trace of her presence. The death would look natural, a brain hemorrhage sudden but not suspicious for a man of Tull's age and species. Zara was halfway to the lower levels when the alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed throughout the corridors as the station's AI announced a security lockdown. This wasn't right. No one should have discovered Tull so quickly. "Attention all residents and visitors," the AI's calm voice echoed. "A Level 1 security breach has been detected. All individuals are required to remain in place for identification scanning. Level 1 meant a killing or an act of terrorism." Zara quickened her pace. She needed to reach the cargo bays before security sealed them off. She rounded a corner and froze. 4 security officers blocked the corridor ahead, scanning everyone who passed. Behind her, she heard boots on metal floors, another patrol approaching. Zara slipped through the nearest door, finding herself in what appeared to be a storage area. Crates and containers lined the walls, but the space had been converted into some kind of living area. A small table stood in the center, surrounded by chairs made from repurposed shipping materials. Plants grew under special lights, and colorful drawings were stuck to the walls. Before she could retreat, a small voice spoke. "Dad, someone's here." Zara turned to see a human child, a female if she judged correctly, staring at her with wide brown eyes. The girl appeared to be young, perhaps 7 or 8 Earth years, with curly hair and skin the color of the deserts on Rigel 4. "Lily, get behind me." A human male stepped forward, placing himself between Zara and the child. He was tall for his species, with dark stubble on his face and eyes that reminded Zara of the green seas of Aldebaran. Unlike his daughter, he didn't appear frightened. just cautious and protective. "We don't want any trouble," he said, his voice low and steady. Zara's hand moved to her weapon. She had never harmed a child, but the man was a witness. He had seen her face. The sound of security forces grew louder outside. They were checking each room now. "You're running from them," the man said. It wasn't a question. His eyes flicked to the cut on her arm, an injury she hadn't even noticed receiving. "You're hurt," the child peeked around her father's leg. "Dad, she's purple." "Lily, that's not polite," he scolded gently. Zara stared at them in confusion. They should be terrified. The man should be calling for help or trying to flee. Instead, he was looking at her with something that appeared almost like concern. "I'm Frank," he said. "This is my daughter, Lily. You've got about 30 seconds before security checks this room." He moved to a section of the floor and lifted a panel, revealing a hidden compartment beneath. "You can hide in here. It's where we keep stuff we don't want the station authorities to find. Nothing bad, just some extra food and supplies they'd confiscate for being unauthorized." Zara hesitated. It could be a trap, but the alternative was facing a dozen security officers in the corridor. "Why would you help me?" she asked. Frank shrugged. "You look like someone who needs it. Decision time, they're almost here." The sound of the security team was just outside the door now. With no better option, Zara slipped into the hidden space. Frank replaced the panel just as the door slid open. "Station security, identification please." From her hiding place, Zara heard Frank's calm voice above her. "Of course, officers, is everything okay? My daughter and I were just having lunch. There's been an incident in the upper levels. Have you seen anyone suspicious in this area?" "No, sir. Just the usual station workers passing by. We've been here all morning." The child's voice chimed in. "Dad's teaching me about earth plants. Want to see the tomatoes?" "That won't be necessary," the officer replied, sounding slightly amused. "Stay here until the all-clear is given." When the door closed and footsteps faded, Frank lifted the panel. "They're gone." Zara emerged, her violet eyes narrowed with suspicion. "You lied to them." "I did," Frank agreed, moving to a small heating unit. "Coffee? Or whatever your species drinks? You look like you could use something warm." Lily approached, her with no fear, studying Zara's six-fingered hands with obvious fascination. "You have extra fingers, that's so cool." Zara had killed 13 different species across 12 galaxies. She had ended the lives of crime lords and politicians, of military leaders and corporate executives. Throughout the cosmos, her name was whispered with dread. Yet here was this human child, looking at her not with fear but with wonder. And here was this human father, offering her a beverage as if she were a guest rather than an intruder. For the first time in her long career, Zara Nix, the universe's deadliest assassin, found herself completely at a loss. Zara stared at the steaming cup Frank had placed before her. She sniffed it cautiously. The bitter aroma of coffee filled her nostrils. She had encountered this human beverage before, but had never tried it. "It's not poisoned," Frank said with a small smile. "Though station coffee is bad enough that some might call it that." "I did not think it was poisoned," Zara replied. "If you wanted me dead, you would have alerted the security forces." Frank sat across from her at the small table. Lily had returned to a corner of the room where she was drawing on a tablet. "So," Frank said quietly, "want to tell me why half the station security is looking for you?" Zara considered her options. She could lie. She could kill them both and find another hiding place. Or she could tell a partial truth. "I was in the wrong place at the wrong time," she said. Frank's eyes studied her face. "That cut on your arm needs cleaning. It might get infected." Before she could protest, he stood and retrieved a small medical kit from a shelf. The casual way he approached her, a deadly assassin, was bewildering. Either he didn't know what she was, or he was the bravest or most foolish human in the galaxy. "The lockdown will last at least 12 hours, Frank explained, cleaning her wound with gentle movements. "Standard procedure when they can't find what they're looking for. My guess is your transport will be long gone by then." Zara stiffened. How did you know about my transport? Just a guess. Most people in a hurry on this station are trying to catch something or running from something. He applied a healing gel to her cut. You seem like both. The station-wide announcement system crackled to life. Attention all residents and visitors. The security lockdown continues. A dangerous individual is believed to be hiding on the station. Exercise extreme caution. Report any suspicious persons immediately. Lily looked up from her drawing. Are you dangerous? She asked Zara with innocent curiosity. Frank shot his daughter a warning look. But Zara answered. Yes, she said simply. Lily nodded as if this confirmed something. I thought so. You move like the shadow cats in my storybooks, all quiet and watching. Frank finished bandaging Zara's arm. Lily has a gift for reading people, or, well, not people in your case. No offense meant. None taken. I am not human. Dad says everyone deserves kindness even if they look different, Lily said, returning to her drawing. Frank looked embarrassed. Kids, right? They repeat everything. He stood and moved to what appeared to be a small kitchen area. You'll need to stay here tonight. Security will be checking all public areas and transport hubs. Zara frowned. Why are you helping me? Frank was quiet for a moment as he prepared something on a cooking surface. Let's just say I've been in spots where I needed help and didn't get it. Changed how I see things. He gestured to the small living space. It's not much, but you're welcome to stay until it's safe for you to leave. The smell of cooking food filled the room. Zara realized she had not eaten in nearly 20 hours. Aldebarani could go much longer without sustenance, but the aroma made her stomach respond. Real food, Frank explained, noticing her interest. Not those nutrient capsules they sell in the station cafeteria. Those things taste like the wrong end of a Martian sandworm. Dad's the best cook on the whole station, Lily announced proudly. He grows real vegetables in the hydroponics section where he works. I'm the assistant hydroponics engineer, Frank clarified. Fancy title for the guy who makes sure the water flows and the lights stay on. Zara watched as he prepared a meal from actual ingredients, something she had rarely seen in her travels. Most spacers lived on synthetic proteins and nutrient solutions. This human's dedication to cooking real food seemed inefficient but somehow admirable. Here, Frank said, placing a plate before her. Nothing fancy, just vegetables and rice with some spices. The food was unlike anything Zara had tasted before. The flavors were complex and satisfying. She found herself eating quickly. See? Lily grinned. Told you Dad's food is the best? After the meal, Frank set up a sleeping area for Zara in a small alcove separated by a curtain. The space was tight but clean. The bed was made from the same repurposed materials as much of their furniture, yet it was comfortable. Rest if you can, Frank told her. I need to put Lily to bed. Her school pod starts early tomorrow. You intend to follow your normal routine? Zara asked, surprised. With a fugitive in your home? Frank shrugged. Best way to avoid suspicion is to act normal. Besides, Lily needs stability. After they left, Zara examined the small living space more carefully. Pictures drawn by Lily covered one wall, colorful images of earth animals Zara recognized from her studies, alongside made-up creatures from the child's imagination. A shelf held actual physical books, a rarity in the digital age. Zara ran her 6 fingers along their spines, puzzled by this human's attachment to such outdated information storage. A soft cry from the other room caught her attention. With silent footsteps, she moved to investigate. Lily was sitting up in bed, tears on her face. Frank sat beside her, holding her hand. It was just a nightmare, sweetheart, he said gently. Remember what we talked about? Dreams can't hurt you. It was the one about Mom, Lily whispered. When the ship didn't come back. Frank pulled his daughter into a hug. I know, I miss her too. Will she ever come back? Lily asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. No, sweetheart. But she's still with us in our hearts and memories. Zara stepped back, feeling like an intruder on this intimate moment. In her life, death was a simple transaction. The end of one, existence payment for another. She had never considered what happened to those left behind, the ripples that spread outward from each life she took. Later, when Lily had fallen back asleep, Frank emerged from the room looking tired. "Sorry if we woke you," he said. "The nightmares don't come as often now, but when they do..." "Her mother is dead," Zara stated. Frank nodded. 3 years ago, transport accident near Jupiter. Lily was 5. Yet you continue. You raise her alone. "What else would I do?" Frank asked, genuinely puzzled. "She's my daughter." Zara had no answer. The concept of such devotion was foreign to her. On Aldebaran, children were raised communally. The bond between this human father and his offspring was something she had never witnessed up close. "You should get some rest," Frank said. "Tomorrow I'll try to find out when they might lift the security lockdown." As Zara returned to her small sleeping space, she felt a strange sensation in her chest. It took her a moment to identify it as emotion, something she had been trained to suppress since childhood. The universe's deadliest assassin pulled the blanket over herself, listening to the quiet breathing of the human and his child in the next room. For the first time in decades, Zara Nix felt uncertain about her path. Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of a purple-skinned child being taught to kill, and a human girl drawing pictures of imaginary creatures, safe in her father's care. Zara woke to the sound of quiet voices. Morning light from the station's artificial sun panels filtered through the thin curtain around her sleeping area. "Remember not to mention our guest to anyone," Frank was saying in a hushed tone. "I know, Dad," Lily replied. "It's our secret." "That's right. Now finish your breakfast or you'll be late for your learning pod." Zara rose silently and straightened her clothing. She had slept in her bodysuit, her weapons still hidden within its special pockets. Old habits died hard. When she stepped out, from behind the curtain, Frank was packing a small bag with what appeared to be Lily's lunch. "Good morning," he said without looking up. "There's food on the counter if you're hungry." Lily waved from her seat at the table, her mouth full of something Zara didn't recognize. "Thank you," Zara said, the words feeling strange on her tongue. Gratitude was not something assassins often expressed. Frank checked the time display on the wall. "I have to take Lily to her pod and then head to my shift in hydroponics. Will you be okay here alone?" Zara nodded. "I will not leave until the security alert is lifted." "Smart move," Frank agreed. "The news feeds say they're still searching for whoever killed that diplomat." Zara kept her face carefully blank. "A diplomat was killed?" "Some coalition big shot. They're not saying much, but rumors are flying." Frank helped Lily put on her backpack. "Ready, kiddo?" "Ready." Lily grinned, revealing a missing front tooth. She skipped to the door, then turned back to Zara. "Bye, Purple Lady. See you later." After they left, Zara examined their living quarters more carefully. Frank had left a small communication device on the table with a note. "For emergency use. Only. My work code is programmed in." The trust this implied was baffling. Zara ate the food he had left, some kind of grain with sweet fruit, and then accessed the station's information network using her wrist device. The news was concerning. The security forces had a description of her now, a purple-skinned female, with 6 fingers. They didn't know her species, but they knew she was an assassin. The bounty for information leading to her capture was substantial. Even more troubling was a new arrival at the station. A vexatory bounty hunter named Draylock had docked 3 hours ago. Draylock was known throughout the quadrant as ruthless and efficient, not unlike Zara herself. This complicated matters. If Draylock was here, it meant someone had placed a contract on her. The hunter would not stop until he found her. Zara considered her options. She could steal a ship and try to outrun him. She could try to eliminate him first. Or she could hide and wait for an opportunity to escape. The last option would put Frank and Lily in danger. She should leave now. Zara was gathering her few possessions when the station alarm sounded again. "Attention all residents, this is a code yellow alert. All movement between station sections is restricted. Security teams are conducting section-by-section searches. Please cooperate fully. Code yellow meant the entire station was being locked down in segments. No one would be allowed to move between areas until each section was cleared. Escape was no longer an option. The door slid open, and Frank rushed in, his face tense with worry. "Have you seen the alerts?" he asked. "Yes," Zara replied. "I should not stay here. I am putting you and Lily in danger." Frank ran a hand through his hair. "It's too late for that now. They're scanning everyone moving between sections. You wouldn't make it 10 steps." "Where is Lily?" Zara asked, suddenly concerned for the child. "Still, at her learning pod. They've locked down all the education sections. She's safe for now, but I can't get to her until they lift the restrictions." His voice betrayed his anxiety despite his calm appearance. "This is because of me," Zara said. Frank looked at her for a long moment. "You killed that diplomat, didn't you?" Zara did not deny it. It was a contract. To her surprise, Frank didn't react with horror or disgust. "I figured it was something like that. You have the look of someone who's done things they can't take back. I've seen it before." "You are not afraid of me," Zara observed. "Why?" Frank shrugged. "Should I be? You could have killed us both last night if you wanted to." Before she could respond, his communication device buzzed. He answered it, his face growing more concerned as he listened. "They're searching this section next," he said after ending the call. "They have bioscanners that can detect non-human life forms. We need to move you somewhere else." "There is nowhere to go," Zara pointed out. "The station is sealed." Frank paced the small room, thinking. "The hydroponics bay. There's a maintenance shaft that runs between here and there. It's tight, but you could fit through it. You would continue to help me, even knowing what I am?" "Look," Frank said, "I don't approve of what you do. But I also don't believe in turning people over to bounty hunters. Besides, Lily likes you, and she's a good judge of character." "I have killed 37 sentient beings," Zara stated flatly. Frank winced. "Okay, maybe her judgment needs work, but the point stands. I'm not turning you in." He moved to a wall panel and removed it, revealing a narrow passage. "This is a maintenance access tunnel. Follow it straight for about 50 meters, then turn left. It'll lead you to the hydroponics section. Hide in storage room C. No one goes in there except me." "What about the bioscanners?" she asked. "The plants in hydroponics give off all kinds of weird readings. The scanners will be useless there." He checked his watch. "I'll meet you there in an hour. I need to try to get to Lily first." Zara hesitated. "It would be safer if you stayed away from me." "Probably," Frank agreed. "But my mother always said, safety is for people with boring lives. Not that she'd approve of me harboring an assassin." "You are a strange human," Zara said. Frank grinned. "I get that a lot. Now go, before they start scanning this section." The maintenance tunnel was as narrow as Frank had warned. Zara crawled through it, careful to move silently. She could hear security teams moving through the living quarters, their scanning devices beeping as they searched for non-human life signs. She reached the hydroponics bay and found storage room C without difficulty. It was filled with soil samples and plant nutrient containers. The air was warm and humid, thick with the scent of growing things. Zara found a hiding spot behind some large containers and settled in to wait. An hour passed, then 2. Frank did not appear. Something was wrong. Using her wrist device, she accessed the station's security cameras. What she saw made her blood run cold. Frank was being questioned by a tall, gray-skinned figure she recognized immediately. Draylock. The vexatory bounty hunter had Frank cornered in a corridor not far from the education pods. "I'll ask you one more time," Draylock was saying, his voice a low growl. "Have you seen any non-humans in your section?" "Just the usual station workers," Frank replied. "Couple of Zeltron merchants, a Plex server in the cafeteria. You live in Section 12B, correct? A known species alien was detected there earlier." "Must have been passing through," Frank said calmly. "Lots of people use that corridor." Draylock leaned closer. "If I find out you're hiding something human, you'll regret it. I just want to pick up my daughter from her learning pod." Frank said. The lockdown has her scared. After a tense moment, Draylock stepped aside. Very well, but we'll be watching you. The camera feed cut out as Frank continued toward the education section. Zara felt something unfamiliar, concern for another being that wasn't related to her mission. Frank had lied to protect her, putting himself at risk. No one had ever done that for her before. A new alert flashed across her wrist device. The bounty on her head had doubled overnight. Someone wanted her dead very badly. And now Frank and Lily were in the middle of it. For the first time in her career, Zara felt responsible for something other than completing her contract. These humans had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return. She owed them the same. The universe's deadliest assassin made a decision. She would protect Frank and Lily, even if it meant breaking her most sacred rule: never get attached. Zara could not wait in hiding any longer. Frank had not returned to the hydroponics bay, and her instincts told her something was wrong. Using her assassin skills, she moved through the maintenance tunnels toward the education section of the station. The station was still under lockdown. Security forces patrolled the main corridors, but Zara knew how to avoid them. She had memorized the station layout from the information network that morning. When she reached the education section, she accessed the security feeds again. Frank had retrieved Lily from her learning pod, but they were not heading back to their quarters. Instead, they were moving toward the lower levels of the station. Frank kept looking over his shoulder, his face tight with worry. They were being followed. Two of Draylock's mercenaries trailed them at a distance. The bounty hunter was not taking chances. He suspected Frank knew something about the assassin. Zara needed to intercept them before they reached the lower levels. Those areas had fewer people and more places for an ambush. She calculated the fastest route and began moving. As she navigated the narrow maintenance shafts, Zara wondered why she was doing this. Her normal protocol would be to find another way off the station and leave these humans to their fate. Yet here she was, risking her own safety to help them. Frank's words echoed in her mind. Lily likes you, and she's a good judge of character. Character. Not skills, not lethality, not reputation. No one had ever judged Zara by her character before. She reached a junction where she could exit the maintenance tunnels. Checking that no one was watching, she slipped out into a service corridor. According to the station map, Frank and Lily should pass by this area soon. Zara didn't have to wait long. She heard Lily's voice before she saw them. Dad, why can't we go home? We just need to check something first, sweetheart, Frank replied, his voice strained despite his attempt to sound calm. They turned the corner, and Zara stepped out to meet them. Frank jumped in surprise, pushing Lily behind him protectively, until he recognized Zara. You're supposed to be hiding, he whispered. You are being followed, Zara told him. Two of Draylock's men. Frank's face paled. I know. I spotted them when we left the learning pod. I've been trying to lose them, but... In here, Zara interrupted, opening a service door. Quickly. Once inside the small maintenance room, Zara sealed the door. Lily looked up at her with wide eyes. Hello, Purple Lady, she said, apparently untroubled by their situation. Dad says we need to be extra quiet today. That's right, Zara agreed, finding herself softening her voice when speaking to the child. Frank ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Zara now recognized as a sign of his stress. They questioned everyone in the residential section. Draylock knows someone was hiding there, someone not human. I should have left immediately, Zara said. And gone where? Frank asked. The whole station is locked down. Lily tugged on her father's sleeve. Dad, I'm hungry. Frank's expression shifted, from worried to gentle in an instant. I know, sweetie. We'll get some food soon. He looked at Zara. We can't keep running around the station. We need a plan. Zara considered their options. There is a cargo ship scheduled to depart in 6 hours. If we could reach the loading bay, I might be able to secure passage. And go where? Frank asked. Zara had not thought beyond escape. I do not know. We can't just leave, Frank said. This station is our home. Lily's school is here. My job is here. Then you should not have helped me, Zara said bluntly. Now you are in danger too. Frank looked down at Lily, who was drawing patterns on the dusty floor with her finger, oblivious to the seriousness of their situation. I couldn't just turn you in, he said quietly. It wasn't the right thing to do. Right thing? Zara repeated, confused. What does that mean? Frank looked at her strangely. You know, morally right, ethical, just... Zara had never concerned herself with such concepts. Her life was governed by contracts and efficiency, not morality. Before she could respond, her wrist device beeped softly. She checked it and frowned. What is it? Frank asked. Someone has accessed sealed records about Diplomat Tull, she said, my original target. Why does that matter now? It matters because... Zara stopped, realizing she had never told Frank the full truth. Because Tull's last word suggested he had evidence of corruption within the coalition. Evidence that would be released if he died. Frank's eyes widened. So your hit triggered something bigger, Zara nodded. The information is being downloaded to a public server right now. Someone is following through on Tull's contingency plan. And whoever hired you wants to make sure you don't talk about what you heard, Frank concluded. Yes, that is likely why. The bounty on me has doubled. Lily looked up from her drawing. Are the bad people trying to catch you? Zara looked at the child, unsure how to respond. By most standards, she herself was one of the bad people. Frank answered for her. Some people are looking for Zara, yes. Zara, Lily repeated, smiling. That's a pretty name. Zara felt strange hearing her name spoken by the child. Names had power. In her profession, anonymity was safety. We should move soon, she said, returning to the problem at hand. Draylock's men will search this section thoroughly. Frank nodded. Where do we go? I need to see what information is being released about Tull, Zara decided. It may help us understand why someone wants me dead so badly. The central data hub is on level 4, Frank said. But security will be heavy there. I can get us there, Zara assured him. Frank hesitated. Is it safe for Lily? Zara looked at the child again. In her world, no place was truly safe. But Frank lived in a different reality, one where parents protected children instead of training them to kill. I will ensure her safety, Zara promised, surprising herself with how much she meant it. They made their way through service corridors and maintenance shafts. Zara went first, checking each area before allowing Frank and Lily to follow. The child remained remarkably quiet, seeming to understand the seriousness of their situation despite her young age. When they reached level 4, Zara accessed a security terminal. Using skills she rarely displayed publicly, she bypassed the station's protections and accessed the public information feed. What she found confirmed her suspicions. Tull had been gathering evidence against high-ranking officials in the coalition. They had been selling weapons to both sides in the border conflicts, profiting from the bloodshed. Tull had discovered their scheme and had prepared to expose them. They hired me to silence him, Zara said, her voice flat. But they did not know about his failsafe. And now everyone will know the truth, Frank said. Which makes me a liability, Zara concluded. I heard Tull's last words. I could confirm the story. Frank's face showed understanding. So it's not just about a contract anymore. It's about covering up corruption. Yes, Zara agreed. And they will not stop with me. Anyone connected to me is at risk. She looked at Frank and Lily, realizing with sudden clarity that she had brought deadly danger to this innocent family. A family that had shown her kindness when no one else would. For the first time in her life, Zara Nix felt something that might have been guilt. Alarms blared throughout the station. The public release of Tull's evidence had caused chaos. Security forces were scrambling to maintain order as angry citizens demanded answers from station officials. We need to move, Zara said, checking the corridor outside the data hub. The confusion will help us, but Draylock will be hunting harder now. Frank lifted Lily into his arms. The child was tired, her usual energy fading after hours of hiding and moving through the station. "Where can we go?" Frank asked. "They'll be watching my quarters in the hydroponics bay." Zara had been considering their options. "The docking bay. With the station in turmoil, ships will be preparing for emergency departures. We can find passage on one of them." "Leave the station?" Frank looked troubled. "This is our home." "It is not safe anymore," Zara said firmly. "Not for you, and especially not for Lily." Frank seemed about to argue, but Lily spoke first, her voice small with fatigue. "Dad, I'm scared. Can we go somewhere quiet?" The worry in his daughter's eyes made the decision for him. "Okay. The docking bay it is." They moved through the station carefully, using service corridors and maintenance tunnels whenever possible. The main hallways were filled with people, some protesting, others trying to reach their homes or workplaces. The chaos provided good cover. They were halfway to the docking bay when Zara's instincts flared. She pushed Frank and Lily into an alcove just as energy fire scorched the wall where they had been standing. "Found you," growled a familiar voice. Draylock stepped into view, a heavy blaster in his gray-skinned hand. Two of his mercenaries flanked him, their weapons aimed at the alcove. "The human and the child can go," Draylock said. "My contract is only for the Aldebarani assassin." Frank pulled Lily closer, shielding her with his body. Zara stepped partially out of the alcove, keeping her hands visible. "Your contract is based on a lie," she said calmly. "The people who hired you were covering up their crimes." Draylock shrugged, his massive shoulders. "Not my concern. A contract is a contract." "I used to think the same way," Zara replied. She glanced back at Frank and Lily, then faced the bounty hunter again. "I was wrong." In one fluid motion, Zara drew a small device from her bodysuit and threw it toward Draylock and his men. It exploded in a blinding flash of light. As the mercenaries fired blindly, Zara pulled Frank and Lily deeper into the alcove, which opened into another maintenance tunnel. "Run!" she commanded, pushing them ahead of her. They sprinted through the narrow passage, emerging near the docking bay. Alarms continued to sound, and the large area was filled with people trying to board ships. "There," Frank pointed to a small transport vessel preparing for departure. "That's Ben Kelly's ship. He trades with the outer colonies. I know him. He might help us." They hurried toward the ship, but halfway there, Zara spotted Draylock and his men entering the docking bay from another entrance. The bounty hunter's red eyes scanned the crowd, searching for them. Zara made a quick decision. "Take Lily to the ship. I will deal with Draylock." "No," Frank grabbed her arm. "You can't take on all three of them. I am the universe's deadliest assassin," Zara reminded him with a slight smile. "And they are just bounty hunters." Frank looked at her with concern. "But go," Zara insisted. "Keep Lily safe. That is what matters now." After a moment of hesitation, Frank nodded. He lifted Lily and moved toward the transport ship, keeping to the edge of the crowd. Zara walked in the opposite direction, making herself visible. When Draylock spotted her, she turned and moved toward a less crowded area of the docking bay. The bounty hunter followed, as she knew he would. His pride would not allow him to share the credit for capturing her. His men trailed behind him, spreading out to cut off any escape routes. Zara led them to a cargo storage area where large containers created a maze of metal walls. It was the perfect place for what she had planned. Draylock entered the area cautiously, his blaster ready. "Give up, assassin, there's nowhere to run." "I stopped running," Zara replied, her voice echoing among the containers. "Now I am hunting." She moved silently along the top of the containers, tracking the bounty hunter and his men. One by one she disabled them, not killing them as she would have done in the past, but using precise strikes to knock them unconscious. Draylock was more difficult. The Vexatori was strong and experienced. When she dropped down behind him, he was ready, swinging his massive arm at her head. Zara ducked under the blow and struck at his knee. Draylock stumbled but didn't fall. He fired his blaster, narrowly missing her as she rolled away. "You've gone soft," Draylock growled. "The Zara Nix I heard about would have killed me already." "Perhaps I have changed," Zara admitted, circling him warily. Because of the human and his brat? Draylock laughed. How pathetic, they've made you weak. No, Zara said, feeling a strange certainty. They've made me stronger. With renewed purpose, she attacked. The fight was brutal, but brief. Draylock was powerful, but Zara was faster and more skilled. When it ended, the bounty hunter lay unconscious, his weapons disabled. Zara returned to the main docking area as quickly as she could. She spotted Frank arguing with a bearded human near the transport ship. Lily stood beside her father, holding his hand tightly. As Zara approached, the bearded man, presumably Ben Kelly, threw up his hands in frustration. Fine, Frank, but you owe me big time for this. Frank saw Zara and relief washed over his face. You're okay. I am unharmed, she confirmed. Draylock and his men are resting. Ben Kelly looked at her with suspicion. This the one you mentioned? The one with the bounty on her head? She saved our lives, Frank said firmly. Ben sighed. Well, hurry up and get on board. We're leaving in 5 minutes, bounty or no bounty. As they boarded the ship, Lily took Zara's 6-fingered hand in her, small 5-fingered one. Are you coming with us? She asked. Zara hesitated. Her plan had been to secure their passage and then find her own way off the station. But now, faced with the prospect of saying goodbye, she felt uncertain. I do not know if that would be wise, she said. Frank stopped on the boarding ramp and turned to her. Lily and I are leaving everything behind because of what happened. Because we helped you. I know, Zara said, guilt washing over her again. I am sorry. Don't be sorry, Frank said. Be our friend. Come with us. Friend? Zara repeated the unfamiliar word. Lily tugged on her hand. Yeah, friends stick together. The ship's engines roared to life. Ben Kelly's voice came over the intercom. Final boarding call. Seal the hatch in 1 minute. Zara looked at Frank and Lily, then back at the chaos of the station. For the first time in her life, she had a choice that wasn't about a contract or survival. A choice about belonging. Where will we go? She asked. Frank smiled, understanding that her question meant she had decided. Ben's heading to a farming colony in the Tau system. It's quiet there. Good place to start over. Start over, Zara echoed. The concept was entirely new to her. As the ship's hatch closed behind them and the vessel pulled away from the station, Zara watched through a viewport as her old life receded into the distance. Lily fell asleep during the takeoff, her head resting against Zara's arm. Frank sat across from them, his eyes filled with exhaustion but also hope. Thank you, Zara said quietly. For helping me. For teaching me about the right thing. Frank smiled. That's what friends do. The universe's deadliest assassin looked down at the sleeping human child beside her, then back at the man who had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return. She didn't fully understand the path ahead, but for the first time, it was a path she had chosen freely. Maybe, Zara thought, there was more to life than being feared. Maybe there was something to be said for being liked, for having friends, for doing the right thing. As stars streaked past the viewport and Lily snuggled closer in her sleep, Zara Nix, assassin, survivor, and now perhaps friend, allowed herself to feel something entirely new. Hope.